Hello, in this example, we will find the exact values of the six trigonometric functions of quadrantal angles, which are the angles 0, 90, 180 degrees, 270 degrees. And so let's start with an angle of 0. So you can choose any point on the terminal side of 0 degrees. And so we're going to choose the point 2, 0, which is equal to a comma b. That's also x and y. And so we're going to find the sine of 0. We also know that r is the distance from the origin, and that is 2. So sine of 0 is b over r. That's y over r, which is 0 divided by 2, or 0. To find the cosecant of 0, that is r over b. And so 2 divided by 0 is undefined since we're dividing by 0. The cosine of 0 is a over r. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Tangent of 0 is b over a. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Now, if we take the reciprocal of that to find the cotangent of 0, which is a over b, then that would be 2 over 0, and that is also undefined. Secant of 0 is r over a, the reciprocal of cosine, which is also 1. So please let your instructor know if you have any questions about finding the trig ratios for an angle of 0 degrees. Let's also look at the others. Let's look at 90 degrees. So when you're at a 90-degree angle, then you're on the y-axis. And so point P, X, or A is 0, and B is 2. And then R is still 2. So the sine of 90 degrees, which is also sine of pi over 2, is B over R. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is the same as cosine 90. That's A over R. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Cosecant of pi over 2, or 90 degrees, is R over B. That's 2 over 2, which is 1. Remember, that's the reciprocal of sine. And cotangent of pi over 2, or 90 degrees, is A over B, and that is 0 divided by 2, which is 0. Now, when you're finding the tangent and secant ratios, you end up getting 0 in the denominator, and so those values are not defined. And so in a likewise manner, you can find the trig ratios for 180 degrees. That is on the x-axis here. This is 180, or pi radians. A is -2, B is 0, and then R is 2. So the sine of 180 is B over 2. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Cosine is A over R, and that is -2 over 2, which is -1. Tangent of pi, or 180, is 0 divided by -2, which is 0. And the secant, which is r over a, that's 2 over -2, which is -1. Now, since the y-coordinate is 0, then the cosecant and cotangent of pi, or 180, are not defined. And then likewise, finally, let's look at 270 degrees. That's 3 pi over 2 in radians. And so this point, A is 0, and B is -2, and then R is 2. And so using these values, you can find the sine of 3 pi over 2, or 270 degrees. B over R would be -2 over 2, which is -1. Cosine is 0 over 2, which is 0. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sines. 2 divided by -2 is -1. The reciprocal of cosine, which is secant, would be 2 over 0. That is not defined. And the reciprocal of cotangent is tangent. The reciprocal of 0 over 2 is -2 over 0, and that is also not defined. Now, the next slide, which is 27 in your slide deck, has a summary of all the quadrantal angles and their corresponding trigonometric values. But to find these, you can use a unit circle. And so in a unit circle, that is a circle with radius of 1. So this point is 1, 0. At 90 degrees, that's 0, 1. At 180 degrees, this is -1, 0. And at 270 degrees, this point is 0, -1. So you have your x or a, the b value, which is y, and then r is 1 everywhere in a unit circle, which is a circle of radius 1. And so this unit circle comes in really handy when finding the value of any quadrantal angle. Let your instructor know if you have any questions.